This case before me breaks COVID curfew, mask, and social distancing regulations. With months of continuous lockdowns, our new laws have now come down hard on restriction breakers. After listening to final submissions from the Crown and the defence, it now falls to my jury, a first on the Northern Ireland COVID Restrictions Act, let's call it NICRA, to reach a unanimous verdict. If there is any reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare her not guilty. However, if there is no reasonable doubt, she must be found guilty. You shall now retire to the jurors' new COVID cubicles and through Zoom, God help you, deliberate on this case in order to send out a strong message that society will no longer tolerate this kind of behaviour. You carry a grave responsibility, ladies. What sort of a bunch is this for a jury? 6 women. The odds of a unanimous verdict are not good. Why did we get rid of the diplomat courts? A verdict would take 5 minutes with 3 judges sitting. Well, I best guide them along, see them right, and with the new Zoom system being unpredictable as well, a helping hand under these exceptional circumstances is legally required. Yes, indeed.
Hello? Hello? Haha, well, this is when we get down to work.
Oh yes, awful glad we're out of that courtroom. Felt I was being watched all the time. Awful stuffy, hardly an air.
And now we're put into these cubicles. I don't know what's worse, but...
What do you think about all that exciting, or what? A first COVID law case and a first all-female jury, Perel.
Hello, yes, well, these are deemed to be exceptional conditions, with our jury of 12 being cut to 9, and then 3 of the male jurors got pinged on track and trace just before the start and couldn't continue, leaving us 6 ladies.
So we have become a high-profile jury, unfortunately.
Are you in the right cubicle, juror 3?
Yes, juror 3 is me, and juror 1 and juror 2. Mention no names, eh? Bob's your uncle and Minnie's your aunt.
Oh, I find I'm terrible with names at the best of times, so numbers suit me.
Oh,
there you
Hiya.
hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, right, yes, assalamu alaikum.
For everyone's convenience, we shall conduct this case in English to avoid any misunderstandings. Now, it's safe to pull down your masks, yes? Nearly everybody here, oh, except juror 4. I think she's having a final puff. For our comfort, we have bottled water beside us and then a tea and coffee machine just outside the cubicles next to the locked door if we need a break. Oh, maybe open a few windows in the outer room. Excuse me.
Oh, I didn't realise we'd be kept under lock and key.
Oh, that always happens. I've seen it on TV. What's the matter with that?
I just didn't think we'd be locked up.
Glad to hear there's tea. Love a cuppa, but prefer those loose leaves to that Dunking business.
Dunkin' Donuts, remember them? I blew up like a balloon when they came in. Can't resist any new fads, but not good for my work image.
What is your occupation?
I'm a Primark beautician. I'm on the skincare and beauty counter, specialising in eyes and nails. You know, there's great reductions on at the minute to get rid of stock. What with this COVID and lockdowns, we've hardly seen a soul in weeks. What do you do, 6?
I'm a second-year medical student at Queen's. I should have been doing an Erasmus internship in Slovenia, where my parents came from, but this pandemic stopped that. So when I was summoned for jury service, Allah be praised, an excuse to get out. The sooner we all get vaccinated, the better.
Vaccinated against what? Controlling COVID? Ha! It's to control us, planting microchips. Messing with our DNA too, my man says. You'll not catch me taking a jab. Sounds too much like taking a job. Here, what's the difference between a he job and a virus job? Well, one gives you head cover and the other no cover. You know, these COVID cubicles remind me of visiting him in prison. Am I right or what?
Oh, excuse me, I'll just be a moment.
That is a very cynical opinion as to what is actually going on. This virus is no laughing matter. From my perspective, I'm relieved we're in certain cubicles, separate cubicles, as this could take hours. Do you not realise how
Ours, me arse. Do we all know she's guilty? Me and my man have organised a wee sweary tonight. You know, a few friends round, couple of tinnies, pizza to celebrate the guilty verdict. I'm not for having a virtual prison visit with the five of you for any longer than a vote takes.
Please, can we try and concentrate on our task to hand and let's have some order here? Maybe that breeze over our heads will cool things down. No, thank you. The sooner we get out of these cubicles and off this flipping Zooming, the better. One does despise these conditions, but it's the only way for jurors to stay together in safety with the current restrictions. So, I think we should get started first by having a show of hands, just to see what we can. I haven't proposed anything yet.
Should we not elect a four-person first to see who's chairing this meeting? That's what's done on TV. Oh, did any of you watch Silks or The Good Fight?
Oh, here, but what if they never catch you? My favourite's Making a Murderer or How to Get Away with Murder. Netflix, class on our 50-inch cine screen.
Never misjudged Judy myself. Loved The Split and the film 12 Angry Men, when Henry Fonda changes the jury from believing the accused is guilty to all voting innocent.
Here, no chance of that happening here. We're 6 angry women. Well, 5 anyway. Where's Thingy? Come in, number 2!
Juror 2 is powdering her nose. This is not TV make-believe, fellow jurors. This is real. And no, we don't elect a chair or a four-person. That befalls to the first juror to be elected, who was me. So as soon as we're all here together, we'll have a show of hands, guilty or innocent.
Excuse me, I'm new to all this, but are we not going to discuss the prosecution's case first? I mean, some elements of their argument to me were on shaky ground, and the consequences of a guilty verdict for the accused are quite serious.
How so?
Are you serious? Shaky ground. The comms officers, you know, the COVID undercover marshals, nailed her outside of a wake, red-handed, on camera, no mask. It was said she was seen at other wakes. She's a serial waker. Hell, she's not even from this wee country. They're all the same, these immigrants. Leeches on society. Listen, let's get this over with, right? Slam dunk, guilty.
Okay, we will have some order here. Now, you will each see that we have 3 coloured buttons in front of us, like traffic lights.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, you're a nun.
Instructions for how to use these for when we vote. Press red for guilty, green for innocent, and orange for dithering. Now, with each vote, it registers on a board in front of me as a total, so it's a secret ballot. Now, we shall test them to make sure that they work. Odd-numbered jurors press green, and even-numbered jurors press red. And go. We appear to have 4 votes for guilty. Did somebody press their button twice?
That might have been me. I wasn't sure my vote registered, sorry.
Oh, that's all right, wee love. Vote early, vote often, as long as it's guilty.
Okay, remember please, this system is sensitive, so only press once. We'll go again. Odds green, reds, guilty, and press your buttons now. Yes, 3 red, 3 green. Now all press your orange buttons.
Donald Trump had a red button in the Oval Office, like a nuclear button. He pressed it when he wanted a Diet Coke.
Not quite the same, Juror 2. He's old news, what with Joe biding his time and now controlling the White House. Good, your dithering buttons all glow. And when you wish to speak, it's through the chair by raising your hands. And just to fill you in, sister? We need a unanimous verdict beyond reasonable doubt to go back to the judge. I just feel we have a need to see where we stand on a straight vote, guilty or innocent. Maybe get this matter cleared up in a speedy and efficient manner, just as Her Honour wished. So, press your buttons now. Red, 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 one orange. Right then, that's 5 guilty to 1 dithering. It's a discussion.
Oh, here we go. Granny's all set for an afternoon of knitting and gossip. You were in the same courthouse. You heard the same evidence as us. You're not trying to tell me you believe this kid, do you? Maybe your hearing aid's broke.
No, I hear perfectly well, and I listened to everything that was said in the court.
Juror 4, raise your hand if you have something to say and try and keep this orderly. Juror 5, can we presume it's you who are the undecided?
But like I said, I feel we have a duty to discuss this. Is that not what we're here for? To talk the case through point by point and clear up any doubts we might have, instead of just a rubber stamping for the sake of pleasing your honour or getting away to party.
Okay then, how do you propose we proceed?
We can each take in turn say why we believe the accused is guilty, try and persuade Juror 5 why we think we're right and she's wrong. It shouldn't take long.
Okay, if all agree with Juror 6, press your green buttons. Okay, it's unanimous. Let's hope we see that in red soon. So, I'll kick off, shall I? Well, for me, it's when the Comes officer confirmed under oath that he took the photo showing her giving someone a hug. Unbelievable.
Well, I was convinced when the elderly man up in the apartment saw her out of his 3rd floor window, out after curfew. He looked so genuine and anxious in the witness box. Why would he lie?
Juror 3, do you believe she's guilty of all charges?
Oh, obvious. You see, being an eye expert, I see this kind of thing all the time. What with this pandemic and masks, eyes have become really important. Ones that look down are hiding something and nearly always shoplifters. She hardly looked up once throughout the whole trial.
Oh, well, I've already said what I think. No, what I know. Guilty.
Juror 6, do you wish to voice your opinion before Juror 5 tries to change all our minds?
No, not yet. I'd like to hear what Juror 5 has to say. I'll wait my turn.
This is your turn. Why does 6 have to be different?
No, I think we'll follow the number. So, Juror 5, you're next to speak, then 6. We will all have a turn to question Juror 5 through the chair when this round is finished. Go ahead, my dear.
Well, really, I just want to talk. I mean, I'm not saying that she's innocent or guilty, but to me, there was a lot of assumption and not much hard evidence given by the prosecution. Really, we're here to decide, should she be sent back to a war zone and probable execution? Because that's what will happen if we find her guilty. It won't be a fine. It'll be straight to McGabbery prison and deportation ASAP. I mean, supposing we're wrong.
Supposing 3 men were frozen, 2 of them died. How many were left? My granddad used to say that. 1, said Granny. Wrong, said Grandad. I was only supposing. But Granny was right.
Juror 3, do you mind? Raise your hand and keep it relevant to the case. Juror 5, you appear to be rounding on the prosecution about no hard evidence, and yet the defence have failed to convince us that the Comes, police and witnesses all have it wrong.
The burden of proof is on the prosecution side, not the defence. Let me tell you a story.
Oh, I love stories. I could listen to them all day. Oh, sorry.
May I? Look, the rest of us, is this relevant?
Well, you can decide. It'll only take a few minutes. When I was at primary school, I was punished for something I didn't do. 6 of the best I get across the tips of my fingers with a leather strap. I wondered what 6 of the worst would have felt like. A young girl was pushed to the ground and banged her head. Teacher asked the class who did it, and teacher's pet said it was a girl with a blue cardigan. She was his star student, and she didn't like me because I was friends with a boy she fancied. I was the only girl with a blue cardigan. She was believed, and I wasn't. It taught me that in life. People don't care about the truth as long as they get what they want. So from then on, I've asked questions before deciding.
Did you nail your classmate later on then?
Thank you, Juror 3. That is irrelevant. Juror 6, your turn.
Through the chair, please.
The floor to Juror 2.
As a devout Christian, I often turned the other cheek and forgave. An eye for an eye only leaves us all blind. The strongest drug is love, but we must have discipline in life or we all go to hell in a bucket. This girl has been given free legal aid and all that entails free food and accommodation while she challenges the charges against her, better treated than some of our own children. Independent witnesses have come forward who saw her break curfew. A curfew, may I add, that is there to save us all from a virus spread by the evils of selfish humanity. Yet she defied the law, out roaming the streets, looking for wakes and sinning again by partaking in physical contact like some Jezebel. Does that answer your doubts?
Juror 5, do you wish to respond?
Well, can I first take you back to Juror 3's main contention, that the defendant rarely looked up, and therefore in her eyes, she was guilty. It could also mean that she was scared, had little comprehension of what was being said, was worried and possibly depressed. I mean, you can't equate a court case with a powder case. And secondly, can someone explain to me the term slam dunk? Is this a legal term?
I think that was Juror 4's comment.
Yeah, it's a basketball term where the player jumps up and slams the ball through the basket for a cert score. You know, 1 horse race, 10-1 on, in the bag, hole in one, slam dunk.
Basketball term. This is not a sport. What if in your sporting event the 1 horse fell? What if there was no basket?
What if? We could what if all night. What's that got to do with this case?
Oh, I know. They have to make believe imagine there is a basket.
Oh, your point, Juror 5.
I've looked at the photo again. You can see all the exhibits in a file. It shows the back of a woman dressed in black. You can see fingertips at her sides. This was accepted as proof of her hugging another person. Prosecution suggested it was a child because you can't actually see anyone else. The defendant has a slim figure, no coat on her. She's out at night, cold and hungry. To me, she's holding herself to keep herself warm, the way you wrap your arms around you. That's when the photo was taken. And the testimony of a COVID marshal, not very independent. This child was never identified because there was none.
2 and then 4.
The child could have run away. She probably told it to run away when she saw the combs coming.
Poor wee thing.
Are you insinuating that the COVID marshals lied under oath in court? That there was no child and the 2-metre rule wasn't broke? Come on, people. We either believe the authorities or, as Sister Act here said, we all go to hell in a handcart. We need to stamp down hard on these immigrants. Sure, most of them were born in slums. Isn't that a breeding ground for criminals and terrorists? Huh?
Bucket. I think Juror 2 said we'll all go to hell in a bucket. Now, see? It's possible. And I object to the way you paint all immigrants as lawbreakers and terrorists. They are just as law-abiding as any other group. In fact, more so. Your attitude is outrageous.
Oh, what dog have you got in this race?
What dog have I got in this
Oh,
race?
Hey,
Yeah.
calm down. Temper tantrums get us nowhere. God knows I hear enough of them at my house. Listen, maybe now's a good time to put on our masks, stretch our legs in the outer room, use the facilities, and wash your hands.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Who are you knitting for, number 5? A grandson?
No, a granddaughter, actually. Keeping up the tradition.
Oh, Do you always swim against the tide? I suppose if we had all voted innocent, you would have voted guilty.
No, I'm not being contrary for argument's sake. Remember, this young woman has been through hell to get here. Separated from her family, escaped bombs and bullets. She's walked hundreds of miles and lived in camps she wouldn't put a dog in. She's been attacked and starved and finally arrived in Ireland on the back of some lorry. She was held in a direct provision centre for 2 years outside Dublin and in desperation broke free and headed north. She's a survivor, sister, and you wouldn't give the time of day to discuss her case. She hasn't stopped swimming against the tide. She's faith in herself. She's fighting every inch of the way. She isn't sorry or hide behind a facade.
Are you suggesting I'm hiding, that I portray self-pity? As a bride of Christ, my faith is my strength.
I know the God that you've chosen now, sister, will destroy you. It's an insatiable God that can't be satisfied. You kept your nun's habit hidden in the court. That's up to you. Maybe you didn't want to draw attention to yourself. But you have another habit in your bag, one that gives you false confidence and fills a void in your life. How long have you been using?
Using? You mean drugs? I'll have you know, Granny, my faith is strong, stronger than ever, and my love is for the one and only true God. There are no false gods on my tongue.
Oh, come on, sister. I've seen the signs too many times before. They're hard to hide, just as hard as whoever or whatever started you down this road. Do you want to talk about it?
You're not my confessor nor my counsellor. I've listened to your sermon enough. As for the accused immigrant, the Bible is clear. God told Nehemiah to build a wall to keep out our enemies. Our laws are our walls. My vote stays red.
Her use of the word counsellor touches on the truth. Her woman, she's putting a brave face up to the world. She said that love was the strongest drug and the need for discipline in life. I wonder, was she referring to herself? And when she was talking about the accused, she mentioned better treated than some of her own children. We all have a past, and she seems to be living hers, there by the grace of God.
Gracious! The judge is requesting to join us.
Well, hello. See, you are having a break. Not for too long, I hope. Have you all you need? Master the novel voting system. My idea, actually. Any legal points needing clarification?
Oh, no, fine, Your Honour, thank you.
And how is the voting going? Are we nearly there yet?
Almost, just a few minor points, but nothing to worry you with them. I'll call you if needed. Yes.
Very well. Good, good. Just keep moving along. I know how ladies love to chat. Bye.
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 Bye, 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 bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Didn't realise we were on a time limit. Can she watch us from her chambers? Surely that's not right.
No, I am the Zoom host from the time we started. Her Honour has to request to join, so all under control.
Seems a bit odd to me. Anyway, is that tea dispenser free? Didn't want to be queuing.
Fine. We'll wait for you then. Sorry, Juror 6, you mentioned you had family in Slovenia.
Yes, my parents came from Slovenia. They met during the uprising to gain independence from the USSR, well, Russia really, in 1991. I was born in 92, and in 93 we were forced to leave for the UK as asylum refugees. Muslims were a very small minority in the new Slovenia. After the ceasefires here in '94, we came over from Manchester. Father's a GP and mother teaches in the Islamic Centre.
Following in your father's footsteps. How interesting. I've always admired the way Muslim women profess their faith in public by wearing a burqa. It's a bit like Catholic nuns, isn't it?
We call this a hijab, actually. A burqa tends to cover all but the eyes.
I can't agree that because she wears a headscarf, this equates to solemn vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience as embraced by religious orders for the love of the one true God.
Someone's habit is another's hijab. Which order were you a member of, sister?
It was the Order of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary. We did community work.
My hijab is worn as a sign of modesty. In our culture, hair is sensual. In Islam, Jesus was a penultimate prophet and messenger of Allah. Mary, like in Christianity, was the mother of Jesus. She is the only woman mentioned in our Bible, the Quran. We have more in common than just headscarves, actually.
Wasn't that the order connected with the mother and baby home scandal? Another black mark in church and state history? Were you involved at that time, sister?
What? You have never been on the dole? Friggin' hell, you must like work. Is your job well paid then?
Love it. Meeting people, chatting, giving beauty advice on eyes and that. But I miss my wee man all day long till I get him from his granny's. I'm a single mum and rely on family so I can work. But it's not only about the money. What do?
You have a kid too? Sucker for punishment, you are? Me and my man are on the baroo. I'd love to work, I would, but all the jobs are took up by these immigrants. Did you hear this one? Why did the immigrant cross the road?
Why?
He took the chicken's job. Get it? Anyway, you end up losing benefits and paying tax. Fuck that! I'd need £500 a week to break even. But the country's overrun with easings flooding in. Getting our benefits, working for pittance, just like this one on trial.
Well, we better get back to our cubicles. Our teacher will be cracking the whip. There's Granny going in again. You know, she might have a point about the wee girl being scared. I would be scared if I was on trial, especially in a foreign country.
Granny's just another bleeding heart. What about where COVID came from in the first place? Ungrateful, illegal immigrants, my man says. Sneaking in here in lorry containers every week like it's a holiday destination. Have you ever seen them with masks on or social distancing? No. They're like eggs. If you see one, you see a dozen.
I hope we all feel refreshed. We needed that bit of air. So, if nobody has any better ideas, I think we should have another vote and see if there's been any change.
I've a proposition. With this vote, I'll abstain and agree if it's unanimously guilty. But if one person votes other than guilty, we continue talking.
Well, sounds fair. So, to be clear, any vote other than guilty, we continue talking. So, fingers on buttons, and we'll all vote. Red, 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 orange.
Oh, well, that's a bitch. There's always one. So, Bright Eyes, you bought all that mumbo jumbo Granny gave us about the accused being afraid and alone and couldn't understand. It was an act. Unreal.
That was no act. When she was arrested by the police, she was fingerprinted, a sample of her DNA taken and tested for COVID. She was held in isolation for 2 hours without an interpreter. She was interviewed several times and threatened with deportation if she didn't admit to the charges. This was all claimed by her defence in court, but the prosecution never cross-examined. You don't have to act being scared when that happens to you.
No smoke without fire. She was caught breaking curfew with no reasonable excuse.
3 didn't change her vote. I did. Granny was brave enough to stand alone against certain ridicule for her belief in fair play. I think that deserves support.
Are you sure your reason for swapping sides is not support a fellow Muslim?
Disgraceful!
Don't say that.
Never change my mind.
Is it all the same?
It's the truth.
That's totally racist.
Why bring religion into everything?
Okay, take a breath. Stop shouting at each other.
Are you letting her get away with that? You should be reporting her to the judge. Take control of this jury or someone else will.
Oh, I'll give it a
Yes,
go.
I could
never
do
will.
better,
Control. That's
Quiet!
fair.
Quiet! God, you all remind me of my teenage sons. Uncontrollable, spoiled, never listen to a word I say. Opinionated, always at war. Listen, if you think you can do a better job, you take over. Kids, you work your bloody heart out.
Someone must have pressed her red button, eh? And she forgot her mask.
I'd best go and calm her down. War never determined who is right, only who's left. Let's think on that.
Mine goes our wee sweary tonight. My man's right again. You can never be sure where your next bite coming from. God, the heat is really building up in these cubicles, isn't it? Here, Sister Act, you must be roasted in that get up. Do you not sweat?
No, I don't sweat.
Oh, royal blood in your veins then.
I've been thinking, when the defendant was stopped by COVID marshals patrolling the area, they had no legal right to apprehend or question her at all. So, in effect, she was illegally arrested by a group of overzealous marshals.
The Combs never arrested her. They only talked to her, asked her what she was doing out after curfew. Had she no mask? Where was she going? That sort of thing. And then when they got no clear answers, they radioed the local police, who picked her up outside the house of a COVID victim. She was probably going to case the house during the week to see what she could steal.
Allah, give me patience.
So, where was her photograph taken hugging a child if she was surrounded by marshals? And how come none of them could identify this child she was supposed to be hugging and breaking social distancing regulations? A runaway child that small would surely have been seen roaming the streets afterwards. The accused always denies this. Maybe Granny has it right. Maybe all she was doing was hugging herself.
Even if she's right, what does that prove? Granny's right. Granny's probably knitting another loophole right now. She should open a loopholes are us shop.
I'm not knitting a loophole.
We don't need a loophole.
A shop that says loopholes.
There are still several points here that cannot be disputed. 1, she broke curfew. 2, she had no mask. And 3, my point from the start, the independent witness, the old fella up in the apartment who saw her. In my view, that is unshakable testimony.
Firstly, I must apologise for my outburst. It's so not like me, and, well, if you wish, I shall step down from chair.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stay,
you know.
stay.
and you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you. Oh, before I forget, this compact case was in the ladies' if anyone left it.
Yeah, that looks like mine.
Oh, I'll hold on to it for you then. So, we've all said a lot this past while, and I think it's time for another vote. Last vote was 4 guilty to 1 dithering, and juror 5 abstained. So, fingers on buttons, we'll all vote. Green, red, red, green, orange, and the last one, orange. Well, Her Honour requires a unanimous verdict one way or another, which means guilty or innocent. And I think we're a long way from that. I propose we set a time, say, 1 hour from now, and try and reach consensus. The argument seems to hinge upon this one witness. Does anyone want to start?
If you look at the photo exhibit of the defendant, We know she was stopped on Westway Street, and there's a door behind her with the number 43 on it. This street is tree-lined on both sides, young birch trees about 5 metres in height. Street lighting was on, but diffused through the branches. The witness lives in the apartment block across the street on the 3rd floor, some 10 metres above ground level. The width of the street, including the footpath, is 10.5 metres. Now, this old man's sight line, by simple trigonometry, is 14.5 metres, almost 50 feet, through a dirty apartment window to the other side of the street at night and hindered by the trees. There's also a line of parked vehicles, further blocking his view of that side of the street of anyone on the pavement. Now, when questioned in court, he was wearing glasses. Yet, he swore that the figure in the photo was the girl in the dock.
Oh, wait, how do you know all this? Defence never mentioned this. The talk and the talk. Not once did they mention heights or trees or trig my mum, frigate, dirty windows.
It's possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Oh, you're right there, Juror 5.
It doesn't go down well with jurors if a lawyer starts badgering a frail old man to discredit him.
No. And I found all this information online. I walked that street last evening, saw the trees, the parked cars and the dirty apartment windows.
Now it's loopholes online. Come on.
The lawyer did not question him because he saw the old man had no difficulty walking from the public gallery to the witness stand. His eyesight is perfect. And anyway, does your eyesight not improve with glasses? Mine does.
This witness only had to walk from his seat to the stand, I'd say about 5 metres, in a fully lit courtroom with nothing to distract his vision. The court clerk even guided him.
His name was Mr. I Blind. I wrote it down because it's not a common name, except for the leader of the Coms on the night. His name was also Blind.
Yes, Juror 3. I wrote that down as well. Related or just coincidence maybe. And underlined it.
Looks like Bright Eyes here. Walked straight into Granny's loophole shop and picked herself up a bargain. Bet you J6's name isn't common either.
I'm not on trial here, or maybe you think I should be.
Sister mentioned that the old man's testimony was, quote, unshakable. She also said that glasses improve her eyesight. I'd like to ask you, when did you last have an eye test, sister?
I don't see what that's got to do with it.
Oh, just give an answer to the question. When was your last eye test?
Oh, let me think. About 18 months ago, just before COVID lockdown number 1. A visit to the opticians is never cheap. And then when COVID hit, I wasn't happy about going. And anyway, I managed fine with these.
Yes, many people felt the same way. It's an expensive, difficult visit, stressful, picking, frames from these 2-for-1 deals. The lenses are slimmer now too. I noticed Mr. Blind had large, thick, old-fashioned frames. He's aged over 70, so it's likely he's been cocooning all this time. His specs would also suggest that he hasn't been to the opticians for a couple of years at least.
Well, that'll not help his eyes. All that squinting, it would put you blind. Oh, I just thought, blind by name, blind by nature.
Your point, Juror 5.
Well, taking all that on board, do any of you still feel that this man is a reliable witness and there are no causes for reasonable doubt?
I agree with Granny, and something I'd forgotten about. I recall when Mr. Blind was walking back to his seat, he pressed his shoulder of COVID officer Blind as he passed. Thought that was strange, and now that I think about it, it was like a sign of friendship or of recognition.
So what if they're related? Small country, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, it's not against COVID regulations to have relations. We're not a police state yet. We all have our human rights. Rights that my grandfather went to war over.
Do these human rights you remind us of stretch to those of different colour, different language, different religion?
Are you saying the witness is lying, that he made all this up?
I'm suggesting that over that distance, the time of night, the obstructed view and his personal visual impairment, it's possibly got it wrong.
He took a note, didn't he? Seemed to me like a genuine upright citizen. I believe him.
He's a man, isn't he? Men make mistakes.
Look, let's have a final break here. Get a coffee. We still have 30 minutes, and if we still fail to agree, I will approach Her Honour and find out if a majority verdict will do. Okay? Talk amongst yourselves if you wish. Sister, I have your compact here.
Are you going for a cup of Gran?
Well, I'm just going to finish this line and then I'll put my camera off.
I'll do the same. I wanted to check my notes. Something was said earlier that I wanted to ask about.
I knew what it was when I opened it and found out what was inside. I found the same stuff in my older boy's trouser pocket when I went to wash them. Oh God, I wish I'd just thrown them in the machine at the time, but these things are meant to be found. Things are still pretty volatile, but he's getting help, counselling and that. Are you?
My order sent me on a programme of recovery. Got rid of me, really. Look, I'm fine. I just slip up now and again. Just the stress of this jury business. I just needed a bit of help.
This is the wrong type of help, sister. Listen, you can tell me it's none of my business. I'll dispose of this and say nothing more. I was right about your order running the mother and baby homes. Is that what's really behind this?
Oh, we were doing such good work, helping little babies to a better life. You'd remember how people treated unmarried mothers and their children. They were ostracised, banished, some by their own families even. If we hadn't opened our doors, they'd have been out on the streets begging. I cared for and loved dozens of babies and got them to good Christian homes and provided food and shelter for their mothers. And some of them were hardly more than children themselves. What was wrong with that? It was God's work.
Not God's, man's. The churches were all powerful then. Governments and politicians doffed their caps and genuflected just to get their indulgences. Influence became power, and that power became almost absolute. But people got wise, literally. Education to higher levels brought about a sea change in thinking. And like other institutions, brick by brick, their Berlin walls have collapsed.
Oh, after the home closed and no more babies, I got so depressed. Tablets were useless. I just went down and down. I needed something stronger, and that's when I turned to that, and I got hooked. The order sent me away to recover, but really I was like stained linen in there, clean laundry. They washed their hands of me before they closed. I'm a failed nun, a failed Christian. I don't know who I am anymore.
Well, maybe now's the time to start to find out who you really are. Look, we can talk of help for you after if you'd like. Now, we've got to decide on this young girl's life in the next few moments. I'll hold on to your compact for you meanwhile. Let's get a coffee, okay?
Oh, thank you. Please don't tell anyone.
No.
Did you hear what I heard? I wasn't expecting that.
Yes, I heard. I just had my camera off. That answers a lot. And the disturbing thing for me is I came from one of those homes, taken from a mother at 6 months. I didn't find her until it was too late. It was wrong on so many levels.
Hi, my name is Zara Novich, by the way. No coffee?
Not for me. It stunts your intelligence, my man says.
Your man must be very well read. He seems to advise you on most subjects.
Oh, he's naturally smart, and that's what attracted me to him.
What does he work at then? Management?
He hasn't found the right position for his talent just yet. He's assessing his options.
And did I hear you say you don't work yourself? We couldn't help overhearing your conversation with Juror 3.
Who, Bright Eyes? Well, I'm in between jobs at the moment because of my bad back. I was saying that to her.
Oh, I don't remember you saying you've a bad back.
Well then, you are very passionate about your beliefs, as I am. Have you met a Muslim before today?
Oh, well, not a lot of yous living around our way. I haven't been offered the opportunity. Oh, there's a Chinese round the corner. They're dead on.
Oh, good. Can we chat about those beliefs you have on, say, immigrants?
Batter on, but you'll not be changing my mind, not if you talk from now to doomsday. She's guilty. All they are is a drain in this country.
The dog I have in this race is my parents. They came here from Slovenia in the 90s as immigrants. I was only 3 then, so I don't know anything but here is my home.
Oh, that's why you talk like us then, kind of. You've no foreign accent at all. Oh.
Anyway, my parents have worked every day since then, raising a family and making a home. They've never claimed benefits, never abused the health system, never bothered the police. Most Muslim families here are the same. That's the truth.
Can I just say, there's no evidence that the accused was a strain on the local authorities. When she came here, her first call was the Islamic Centre, who organised food and accommodation for her. She was stopped by the marshals when she was going back there. Curfew just started and other people were out in the street, but the marshals picked her out. She had no mask on because she was going straight home.
But here, why was this not all said at the trial then?
Ask yourself, why was she targeted? COVID marshals are controlled by local councils. Local councils are controlled by political parties who have made a ham fist of dealing with this virus. They needed to be seen to be doing something, so passed stricter regulations and curfews. Why? Because even their fan bases were doing whatever they wanted and totally ignoring regulation. A sacrificial lamb was needed, and an illegal immigrant was perfect not to upset their vote boats. But they didn't reckon her pleading not guilty. And that's where we came in. She went to court for her basic human rights, the same human rights your grandfather went to war for.
That's as may be, but she was arrested by police.
And in doing so, they overstepped their powers. Their power of arrest only comes in cases of those intent on prohibited activity, such as a wee sweary with friends. As for Combs, they have no legal power of apprehension or arrest at all.
Are you trying to tell me that me and my man can't have a wee sweary or a couple of friends round a few tinnies and a pizza?
If the police find out, say, someone tells them, you'll be arrested. Have you got a good lawyer? Of course, you both would probably qualify for a legal aid lawyer, like the one the wee girl had on trial today. And if guilty, it'll be goodbye, Baru, hello prison visits once again.
Well, I'll call you all to order once more, ladies. Our agreed time is up, and the crucial thing now. Is there a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused? If so, vote green. Any last questions? Are we all ready to vote? So fingers on buzzers and...
Yes, I have a question. Where's this loophole shop?
Yes, Your Honour. No, not yet. Right now? Indeed, Your Honour. Her Honour has had to call a stay on the proceedings. Something about an unconstitutional trial, a flawed protocol, which means we must all leave forthwith.
Oh, a surprise loophole for me then.
Hang on. Are you all going to this loophole shop?
Ah, there you are again. Well, I told you at the start 6 angry women would never agree. But one thing this lot do wholeheartedly agree to. Yes. Thanking all of you for supporting Armagh Theatre Group in our quest to provide an accessible theatre for all members of our community. The price of building materials has risen dramatically, and we now face substantial additional costs unforeseen pre-Brexit and lockdowns. My plea is for financial assistance to reach our goal of a modern, accessible Abbey Lane Theatre for all to partake and enjoy in the years to come. To donate, please go to www.armaghtheatregroup.com donations page. You'll see links to various ways to help. Every pound counts. From all of us in ATG, a sincere thank you. And we look forward to welcoming you back to a new Abbey Lane Theatre in the near future. Under these exceptional circumstances, a little financial help is necessary. Yes, indeed.
Juror 6, are you there? Right, try it again. We could see you, Juror 6. Try again. A flurry of activity while you gather yourselves and straighten yourselves up.
Indeed.
Oh, I've pressed something. I've a whole drop down menu here now. Is that right?
I know, but don't worry about it. You'll get this one off absolutely perfect. Oh yes, the eyes are good, Claudia.
Yeah.
Cool is good.
Very
Yeah,
good.
Whoa.
Okay, let's go back over that
Sorry, I
again.
need to show my toilet.
Let's go back
I was
over
going,
that
I have another line.
I missed my toilet paper.
Yeah.
I was looking at
Yeah, I can't make up my mind about this one. But anyway, we'll
Sorry, I'm just hearing background noises.
I know. It's like hissing going on somewhere
Like
there.
water running or something. Sorry.
Jesus, sorry.
No, you got to come in faster. Okay, give it again. Give it to her again.
It's
We
the
all have human
Wi-Fi
life.
lag.
Right, in immediately J4. How do you know all this?
Oh, is that my cue? Sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
my cue.
Okay, possibles.
All right. I'm like, she said
Did you
possible.
come in?
I've got to say something.
Oh, Juror 3 isn't there.
Where did you go?
She's working.
It was there.
She was, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I tried
Exciting or
again,
what?
try again,
Sorry,
J3, and
sorry.
let's hear the big well.
Yeah.
This dimension, oh dear, didn't get that out.
Right, just give the line again.
There she is.
Oh,
Hello, sorry, I
Oh, there
couldn't
she
get
is.
on screen there.
Marjorie's away.
Oh, hello.
That's great.
She's free already.
Was it something you said?
Here we go.
Isn't it? My line, I say.
It is you, it is you.
Yours. Yeah. Yes, Stuart.
not only has she come back as a nun, but she's come back as a lunatic nun, you know.
My instinct was to go, what the fuck?
Gillian's gone off to make a cup of tea.
No, I'm here. It's all right. I just muted myself. I haven't anything to bang it on yet.
On something.
I forgot to order the block along with the gavel. So
A chopping board. Bang.
Okay, sorry. I've just had to vaccinated to get mask. Controlling COVID.
You will get to the point where you know to rescue each other. You know, if something goes wrong, if somebody freezes, you just got to improvise. You just got to and rescue.